Welcome to the show, everybody, and happy opening day to you. Now, I know what you might be thinking here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Mark is actually on time today. That is correct. I am actually live as well. I wasn't planning on being live today. I have to be down the ballpark shortly for some responsibilities with Fox 29. And I had a whole episode locked and ready to go, 1 hour, including our guest today, Jody McDonald, in that hour. And for whatever reason, no, it's not. Nothing's loading. Nothing's working. Everything's fried. Now, I was able to save the interview, so it's going to be an abridged show today. Quick introduction, Jody McDonald interview to get you ready for opening day, but a couple of things I wanted to run by you here. Here's what I got. 5 things that I'm looking at when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies that have my concern going into the season. The number one thing, everything else here could be filed under simply tied for second. But there's 5 things in total, but there's one clear-cut thing that I'm worried about. It's Bryce Harper's back. Anytime any player has any issue with a back, I don't care if it's spring training, middle of the season, whatever it is, I get nervous about a back injury. It scares the hell out of me. Anyone, and you don't have to be an athlete, anyone who's ever had a back issue understands that when it comes to a back issue, it's a very fickle thing. It comes, it goes, it comes and stays for a very long time, and then maybe it goes away and gives you a glimmer of hope, and then it comes back. So if he could get through the first month of the season without any issues, I will put this concern aside, but it is my number one concern going into the season. After that, will this team avoid the slow start? You look at the way last season went down. Entering June 3rd last year, they had just come off that series against the Mets where they got swept out of Flushing, New York. They went into D.C. Zach Wheeler got rocked, but at least the bats looked like they were coming alive a little bit. Kyle Schwarber returned to the top of the order. And the next thing you know, the Phillies ran off 23 wins in their next 30 games. 23 victories in their next 30 games. That was after being down 25-32 on the season. 7 games under 500. To all of a sudden being a team that wins 23 of 30. Not too shabby to post a 23-7 record. That's another thing I'm concerned about, though, is whether or not they can get off to that decent start, unlike last year and the year before. Aaron Nola's trend continue. This should be an easy bet here. Aaron Nola over the last 4 seasons, 3 ERA, 4 ERA, 3 ERA, 4 ERA. So this year, 3 ERA? Do we get back to that area right there? I certainly hope so. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at and I'm concerned about because if he can continue to at least ride that, it shows that he's trending in the right direction, at least for this year. Strikeouts, I would hope would be up. 235 is the most he's ever gotten in the season. Would love to see him get to that number again. And, of course, hit that. I don't think that's fair. In the ERA in the threes, I know he's getting ace stuff. He's getting ace money out of all of it. But when you really break it down, you really look at it, you hope that he gets back into that range of at least the 3 ERA and out of the 4s. Bowman Castellanos. Another year from Castellanos where he hits over 25 home runs, maybe even gets to 30. He had 29 last year. Alec Boehm, the thing we asked for him going into last season was show us some pop, show us some power. He had 20 home runs. Of course, he hit his 20th home run of the season in game number 162 of the season, but still he showed you that he could hit with a little bit of pop, and he got to 20 home runs on the season. So I want to see him now build on that. Can he get to 25? Can he get to 30? Can you have 2 guys, your third baseman and your right fielder, get you 25 to 30 home runs this season? Would love to see that. And it is a concern because I know you have Schwarber. I know you have Harper. But the Harper concern, you want to make sure that you have pop elsewhere in the lineup. Last but not least, Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson has to win over some Phillies fans after the way last season ended with the way he managed the bullpen. And for me, the number one thing, and I said it at the time, I go with Christopher Sanchez. If you're going to start Christopher Sanchez against the Diamondbacks in the playoffs, you start Christopher Sanchez. You don't use him essentially as an opener the way he did. And when he pulled Christopher Sanchez, when he did, I said, yeah, this guarantees you get Craig Kimbrell again in the 7th, 8th, or God forbid, the 9th inning. That's one of the things I'll be looking at with Rob Thompson, hopefully winning some Phillies fans back. Honorable mention, not so much a concern, but very curious how Whit Merrifield does fit into left field, second base, possibly third base, possibly first base. 111 games Whit Merrifield has played in his career. 15 of them, he's logged time at first base. So it's not exactly an everyday first baseman situation there with Whit Merrifield. And then the bullpen. Is the bullpen really that good? The best bullpen in baseball? All right, MLB.com. I hope that's the case. I certainly hope that's the case. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, an abridged open to the show. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line and talk to our friend Jody McDonald. You know this man. You love this man. His name is Jody McDonald. Jody Aloysius McDonald. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Very good. It's almost opening day. Forrest, how bad can we be?
Exactly. Okay. No. I just want to say this. You are such a crafty veteran of the broadcast world, whether digital or linear, that you, to me, before I hit record on this very interview, you teased an answer to a question I haven't even asked you yet. And that's what makes you amazing.
Exactly. And old. But thank you for reminding me of that.
No, come on. Crafty lefty? I don't know. Anyway.
I'm righty. What do you mean? I'm not, what do you call crafty? BS righty is what I am. Yes.
All right. But first and foremost here, I want to just talk to you about this because this is the only thing that I see could possibly, from this standpoint right now and what we know, the only thing that I think can really derail this Phillies season, okay, is Bryce Harper's back. It's the only thing that really concerns me about this year being as good as I am thinking it's going to be. What is your level of concern when it comes to the two-time MVP's back?
I think you're right. It's a legit concern.
Okay.
I don't want it to be the fact, but if you're being honest, he's playing a new position. I know he played it for a little bit last year, but he didn't get fully fledged in as a first baseman. Now he's been doing it since spring camp opened up, and sure enough, he's got a back issue. And I don't know, maybe he reached for the soap wrong in the shower. I don't know how he hurt his back, but it is something you have to monitor. And the fact that he missed an entire week, and oh, by the way, and I know you can't put a ton in the spring training numbers, but you shouldn't just disregard them and throw them out like the baby with the bathwater. He hit no home runs. He hit very few fly balls. All he did was kind of hit the ball hard on the ground. And I don't know if that's because of his back. Don't go if he's worried about it, or doesn't even consider his spring training stat. Not great coming into spring. Now, if he goes out and hits 2 home runs tomorrow, feel free to poke me in the eye for even bringing it up. But yeah, I do think that it's something that needs to be monitored, that if Bryce's back ain't right, the Phillies ain't right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we're on the same page as far as that goes. Now, I want to shift into something immediately optimistic. And I think the answer to this question is going to be yes from you. I still get it. Baseball is my first love. That it always, that's never going to change. You can't change that history, right? It's what made me get into sports, So when you look at opening day, at the time we air this, it is opening day. And I am as excited right now, and I know I'll be even more excited on opening day itself. For a man who has been around the game for as long as you have, a man who's covered the game, talked about the game, do you still get a little excitement out of the words opening day?
Absolutely. It's my favorite sport. I've been talking about it, following it, going to games for 50 plus years. So yes, I still get jacked up for opening day. One of my favorite words, which always I used to laugh at, the bunting, which is the fancy decorations they put down to the. It's kind of a flag. It's a decoration. It's all. But when the bunting is out, and they save the bunting for like the playoffs and the World Series too. When there's bunting in the stadium, you know how big a game it is. Guess what? There'll be no bunting in the stadium Saturday for Game 2 between the Braves and the Phillies. So yes, it is different. It is special, and I get pumped up for it.
Wow, the bunting. Yeah, they're draping that bunting over the walls and all that. Oh,
it's special when you see the bunting.
All right, so we talked about when it comes to Bryce Harper's back and all that stuff. Realistically, though, with a full season under his belt after this year, spring training, the games he played for the last couple of months of the season last year when he came back, what are your expectations when it does come to Bryce Harper and the season he could have?
Bryce could win the MVP in the National League if he is healthy, if the back is no issue. Remember last year, he came back much earlier than anybody thought he was from Tommy John, and everybody applauded him for being such a gamer and such a tough guy. And well, they should have. He won Bryce Harper when he came back. He wasn't hitting any home runs. He was still building up, didn't have a spring training, took him some time. Oh, he became Bryce Harper the last 6 weeks of the season into the postseason, clutch home runs, the type of player we know he can be. You're hoping you get that for 150 plus games from him this year. If you do, he is a very legitimate MVP candidate in the National League.
Okay, fair enough. All right, now the Phillies unfortunately missed out on the Jordan Montgomery sweepstakes, 1 year, $25 million. But I will say, you got two guys at the front end of this rotation, and a guy that is looking to prove himself again in Ranger Suarez to show you that he can do this on the regular, be a solid starter in the rotation, if not even better than that. What are your expectations when it comes to this rotation, as is Taijuan Walker still a question mark with his injury?
Save this tape, which you always do on YouTube, but I think Ranger Suarez will be better this year than Jordan Montgomery. Got a lot of calls of, Middleton isn't really all in. He's 3/4 in. He should have spent for Montgomery. And Montgomery would have been their fourth starter. He would be behind, for me, Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger. So you're paying $25 million for your fourth starter? Really? You expect John Middleton to do that as well? I think Philly rotation will be fine. Spencer Turnbull will take a couple of turns in the rotation till Walker's ready, or he may pitch well enough that they go, yeah, we got to figure something else out because we don't want to take him out of the rotation. I really like the Phillies rotation. I think it is one of the top 2 or 3 rotations in all of baseball, and people that are sweating it because they didn't get Jordan Montgomery are just panic-stricken Philly fans.
Fair enough. We just want everything. Is what we want. We missed out on Blake Snell, so we thought we'd get somebody else. We'll get to Whit Merrifield in a minute, but man, he gives you a lot of options there in the corner outfield spot and second base as well. But this is, you mentioned the arms that are in the rotation. How about the arms in the bullpen? This is from MLB.com, who have ranked the Philadelphia Phillies as the best bullpen in baseball. Not the NL East, not the National League, in all of baseball. This is a projected WAR of 4.8. Jody McDonald, you see the names on this list right here with Jose Alvarado, Jeff Hoffman. Is MLB.com crazy? Are they trolling us? Was it written by a Mets fan, a Braves fan? Who is doing this, and should we believe it?
It was one of their top writers at MLB.com, and they're not trolling anybody. They're just giving you their opinion and or facts. I think WAR can be a little overrated, but I really like the Phillies bullpen. And naysayers will go, yeah, but you don't have a designated closer. Somebody's going to become the closer. Rob Thompson may never call him the closer, same as Craig Kimball last year. He was never the closer. Oh, except he saved most of the games for the Phillies. So there's naming rights, and then there's actual things that they'll spread the wealth around. If one guy, Alvarado, closes their first 3 potential wins, it's great, and they never move off him, he'll become the closer, even though Rob Thompson will call him that. If not, it'll be different individuals, setups against a specific team, matchups, and the like. They've got enough depth there that they're fine. I have no worries about the Philly bullpen. I've kind of said all spring, the guy I'd like to be the closer, I think really should be the closer, might be best suited for it, it's Matt Strahm. I think they're handicapping Strahm because he does other things. Oh, you need that fill-in starter. Guy comes in with a stomach bug. I need 3 innings out of a guy coming. Oh, Matt Strahm will give us 3 innings. Or specific left-handed matchups. You got Alvarado, but Strahm's good against lefties as well. He can go on multiple days, an inning plus. Because he's so good and so versatile, I think they want to keep him in that role. But I actually think he's their best choice for closer. If you believe Alvarado is something that Thompson wants to save for that specific matchup thing, which I do believe that's the case, then I would go with Strahm. I don't think it's going to be Strahm, but that's how I would do it if I were the manager.
I love that. That's your desire. When it comes to a prediction, you look at these names right here. You are a betting man, so I'm not going to say if you were a betting man. I know you're a betting man. Who's the horse you're betting on? Out of these names here, who do you think would be the guy that will take the position of closer and give Rob Thompson no other choice but to say, oh, yeah, he's our closer?
Most saves by a Philly pitcher this year will probably be Jose Alvarado. I think he'll be given the chance. I think Rob Thompson at a juncture of the season, a specific team, matching up, he may change him and pull him and use him in the 7th and or the 8th inning. But over the course of the 6 months, my guess would be Alvarado will end up with the most saves on the Phillies.
All right, I agree. I agree with that entirely. And I agree also, if you're Rob Thompson, all right, who wants it? Who wants to be the closer? You're going to have the opportunities. You're going to go by committee, have this kind of, I think, audition for the first month or 2 of the season. And I think someone's going to have to come out and show that they have the mental makeup to be the last line of defense between you and hopefully avoiding a loss. That's the way I think Rob Thompson plays it.
You mentioned mental makeup. I'll tell you a quick story. 2 minutes here. You
Sure.
lengthy Farsi segment. I've always believed forever, and this goes back to when I was just a kid and the way baseball used to be managed for relievers. Here's your job. When the manager calls you out of the pen, he hands you the ball and says, get 3 outs. Get 3 goddamn outs. It doesn't matter if it's the 6th inning, the 7th inning, the 8th inning. Here's your job. Get 3 outs. And I worked on Sirius XM's MLB Network Radio for years. They teamed me with Brad Lidge, Rob Dibble, Gene Nelson, Mike Stanton, a whole bunch of Major League Baseball relievers. I did a whole bunch of shows. I've always asked about, Jody, you don't understand. You need to know. You have to have your role. You have to be mentally prepared. And I always thought that was BS forever. And then they just kept beating me down with it, beat me down with it, beat me down with it. And I said, all right, maybe there's something to it. They did it. I didn't. I'm just watching from the sidelines. Maybe there really is a mental preparation you have to go through, and the pressure is different and everything else. No sooner do I say, all right, I believe you guys. Now we're back to just, hey, your role is what the manager says it is. If he tells you the 7th inning is the most important inning, you got to come in the 7th inning, and you got to be ready to come in the 7th inning. So baseball has done the full 180 thing, and I think Rob Thompson's got a pretty good grasp on it. I have utmost confidence in him handling this bullpen coming into this year.
Okay. All right. I think a lot of Phillies fans are a little nervous with Rob Thompson handling the bullpen after the way the season ended last year. Granted, if they hit the ball, they wouldn't be as worried about the bullpen. So
you know what? And I love Rob Thompson. I've been saying this since the day he got the job, where he made the mistake last year in the postseason, more so than Kimbrel, because everybody points to Kimbrel. He mishandled Sanchez in the game that he started.
Totally agree.
Sanchez was going through that lineup once, and then maybe the top guy, the second guy, boom. There was no way he was going to pitch more to 11 guys. So once you do that, once you make that mind up before the game starts, now you know you got to use the whole bullpen. Mm-hmm. So he did, and then you get to the end, and all you got left is Kimbrel. Oh, I guess I got to put Kimbrel in, and Kimbrel wasn't up to it. Kimbrel wasn't good, and he deserves the grief that he takes for not pitching well. But that wasn't Rob's big mistake putting Kimbrel in. It was starting the game with a guy that you weren't going to give a chance. And he was pitching well. It wasn't like, oh, my God, he gave up 3 runs in the inning and a third. Did he pitch? No, he was pitching well. And they pulled him anyway, and it was the domino effect. So, yeah.
Totally agree.
Gave my guy Rob Thompson a hard time for that. And I guess I'm going to continue to have to.
when they pulled him, I went, oh, this guarantees Kimbrel's in the 7th or 8th inning. Guarantees. You had a starter play the role of an opener and not actually give it, like, technically it was a start, but he played the role of an opener in that game. And I was anti-opener in that game.
So was I.
All right. Whit Merrifield. I love the signing. I absolutely love it. The adjustments you can make now with him as part of your roster, whether it's the infield, whether it's the outfield, whether Rojas is not hitting a lick, if Rojas is struggling anywhere, Marsh goes back to center, Merrifield in left, or you could put, Schwarber out there. There's a whole other thing there. How impactful do you think Whit Merrifield's season will be for this Phillies upcoming year?
I think Whit Merrifield will hit well for the Phillies. And when he gets his starts, I think he'll deliver. And there will be no drop-off because you're putting in a quote-unquote bench player. I think he'll be perfectly fine. Here's my only reservation with Whit Merrifield. He's a second baseman, and he's a left fielder. They say they may play him in right. He doesn't really have an arm for right. They say they may play him at first. Yeah, kind of like throwing Bryce Harper into the deep end of the pool last year at first. And last year, remember, we were comparing Bryce to Reese, who wasn't very good fielding first baseman. So Bryce looked real good over there. Now we'll be comparing Merrifield to Bryce, who is an improvement. So I don't know if he can actually play first. And I don't think he's a third baseman a little bit. And they're going to probably play him at third because they said they will. And he's played it sparingly in his career. I'm worried about overuse positionally. Because how many games is he going to get at second? You're not take Stott off the field. Stott's going to play $150. So his best position is second base. Oops, you got a second baseman who plays almost every single day. It'll be left field more than anything else. If you try and get cute and use him at positions that he's not really used to playing, there may be a defensive price to pay. So there's another question for Rob Thompson. How are you going to get Whit Merrifield into the lineup and have him at a position that he can play defensively? I don't know the answer. I hope Rob Thompson does.
No, I'm with you there. Nick Castellanos, not exactly the greatest ending to a season that we have seen, especially with the way that he, didn't hit the ball in the NLCS last year against the Diamondbacks. Fair expectations for Nick Castellanos, a guy that I think has gone under the radar since the end of last season, with the focus being on Whit Merrifield, focus being on Bryce Harper, and obviously the focus being on the rotation. What are you thinking as far as Nick Castellanos goes for the upcoming season?
He should hit 30 home runs. He's going to hit 25. He should hit 30, and he should drive in 100 because he's going to end. Rob Thompson, to his credit, was flexible with the lineup last year, except for Schwarber at the top, which I completely sign on because they win when Schwarber hits leadoff. And you can talk about clogging a base pass and this, that, and the other thing. It's 198 batting up, except they win when they put him up at number one. So why would you change that? He's going to have guys on in front of him. He's going to be somewhere in the middle of the lineup. There's a good chance that he's going to bat behind Bryce. If Bryce hits third, he's going to hit fourth. He should drive in 100 runs. If he's healthy, 2,500. Again, I'll be okay with his batting average, whatever it is, as long as it's not 210. Anywhere between 250 and 275 is good by me. I expect Castellanos to have a similar year that he did last year. Now, what he did last year is here's what I want out of Castellanos more than anything else. I want him to be level. He jumped right into Rhys Hoskins' shoes. And we remember Rhys. When Rhys was hot, he could be the best hitter in baseball. When Rhys was cold, look out below. He could go 3 for 42. And Castellanos was that guy specifically in the postseason, but even over the course of the season, I just like to see a little bit more consistently. His end-of-year numbers were fine, but he was peak and valley guy. I hope he's a little bit more straight line over the course of the season this year.
When it comes to Johan Rojas, you mentioned earlier that you don't pay too much attention to the spring numbers. Obviously not great for him. Will Johan Rojas be in a sink or swim moment for the Phillies where they just put him out there for 162 and they say, good luck, fella, whatever you hit, or will they try to reset hit the reset button with him where they send him down to the minors again?
I'm glad that he made the team out of spring training despite his pretty poor spring numbers. And they explained it as they're asking him to be a different player, to be more selective at the plate, to take more pitches over the course of spring training. They said they actually saw improvement in that, and they changed his stance. They're trying to get him to use his bottom half more, to use his legs to drive the ball because he's a pretty much straight up and down hitter, and he doesn't have that kind of pop to be able to hit home runs. So they're working in season on his game, and they know it's going to take some time, and that's why even though he hit below the Mendoza line, he's coming north. I love the talent. I want him out there every single day in center field. 2 different people in the course of a week called him the next Andrew Jones on one of my shows, one of which was Ruben Amaro, who knows a little something about evaluating talent. He is that good defensively. So if he's batting 9th and he's playing like Andrew Jones, can I live with 210? Yeah, I can. I know he had 300 last year, but that was him taking advantage of having a better book on the NL pitches than they had on him, not vice versa this year. I hope the kid plays 150 games in center field. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. If he's struggling and if he's not making Andrew Jones-like plays in center field, I guarantee you they're sending him down if he's hitting $185 and not being Andrew Jones. I hope that's not the case. I would bet that's not the case. I think he's going to be the center field, almost everyday center fielder for the Phillies all year.
I think he's going to get a similar Bryson Stott treatment. I would agree in terms of you're going to be allowed to fail. Don't feel like at any moment we're going to pull you. You're going to be allowed to fail, and we're going to see how you pick up the pieces. So I'm glad he's getting that moment. All right, fast ones for you here.
And by the way, good one on you, Farzy. You remember. Not everybody remembers. Bryson Stott was terrible. Yeah. His first month and a half in the bigs, he was terrible. But they were committed to playing with him, and they stuck with him. And, yeah, I hope it's the exact same thing for Rojas.
All right, you and I are on the same page there as well. All right, when it comes to a couple of things, including 3 questions I'm going to get to you in rapid fire here. It's what you teased to me before I hit record on the interview here. All right, first thing here is win total. What are you looking at right now for the Phillies?
93, 94, 95. Not 100.
Right.
Some people are picking them to beat the Braves, and I think the Braves are going to win 100, so I'm not picking the Phillies to win the division. But the under-over is anywhere between 89.5 and 90.5. So I would say over. I think they're going to be over. Like with most of these bets, You got to wait till the last weekend of the season to figure out if you're actually going to win it. I think it will be that close, but I would take the over on the Phillies.
Okay, I'm at 95. I am at 95, and I don't think that's but here's the thing. I'm also with you. I don't think they win the division. I think they lose again to the Braves. And as we have learned by watching baseball, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Just be the hot team. Be the hot team at the end of the year. That's all that really matters. All right, so we have those two questions answered. All right, let's get to your teases here. You asked, you said you have some interesting bets here when it comes to the Cy Young Award winner, the Rookie of the Year, and the NL MVP. Let's start it off with Cy Young. Who are you looking at the Cy Young Award?
I looked up all the Cy Young MVP and Rookie of the Year odds. Can Zach Wheeler win Cy Young? Yeah, sure he can. Anywhere between 8 and 9 to 1. He's the second choice to only the guy he's going to be facing on opening day. Spencer Strider's the favorite. Wheeler is second choice in most betting markets, 8 or 9 to 1. He could absolutely do it. Not quite enough value for me. Instead, Aaron Nola. I bet Aaron Nola at 25 to 1. That's a big difference. If Zach is 8 to 1 and Aaron is 25 to 1, that's enough for me to say, yeah, let me take the Phillies' second best starter. So I bet him at 25 to 1 to win the Cy. MVP Bryce Harper was anywhere from 9 to 12 to 1. Different markets, different prices. I have that same slight concern about the back that you had, whatever. So if the Phillies going to win, you just said, Jody, even money, what Philly is most likely going to win the MVP? Bryce Harper. But the value just isn't there. Trey Turner, 22 to 1.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I like that.
That's just good value. He would be the second choice on the Phillies for me. I bet him at 22 to 1. And Rookie of the Year, I was planning on betting more, but because of circumstances, I bet less. But I bet it just the same because I wanted to bet it. Rookie of the Year in the National League. The Phillies only have one guy you can even think about because Rojas got 140 some odd at-bats. And once you get 130, you are no longer a rookie. So his rookie year was last year. He's not in the mix. Oren Kirkering, 75 to 1 to win Rookie of the Year in the National League. He's starting the season on the IL, but it's not like he threw out his elbow or popped his shoulder, whatever. He's been sick. He got some kind of flu that went through the entire Philly clubhouse, which they said was not COVID. It was just flu. So he didn't build up yet. He didn't get enough innings in yet, but it isn't an injury where you go, oh, shoot, he's going to get gone for months. Now you got to take a little bit more Pepto-Bismol and he'll get up to speed. He'll get back out there. So I bet the Phillies Rookie of the Year, Oren Kirkering, 75 to. I just threw a couple bucks on it, but what the hell? I probably threw it away, but I threw more away at the track yesterday. So what? So what? Oren Kirkering doesn't win Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I didn't hit yesterday's late double at Parks either.
Yeah, it's in perspective is what it is. If you lost more at the track than I figured about.
Yeah, I did.
Jody McDonald, Birds 365. Make sure you guys are watching him and our other friend Johnny Mac and Jody Mac, of course, John McMullen on Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media Sports channel as well, and WIP, all that stuff as well. Jody, always great catching up with you, brother. I thank you for taking some time out of your day to talk some baseball with me.
Farzi, enjoy the bunting on opening day.
At the time this airs, I will be at the ballpark. I'll try to take a selfie for you next to the bunting. Jody McDonald joining us there on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. You're the man. Thank you, brother.